Hi, in this section, we will play with TypeScript type. In this section, we will see how to enforce string with type literal. We will see how to have a more flexible signature with type aliases and default generic to remove redundancies. This section will end with static type with the use of keyOf and map type. In this video of this section, we will explore the concept of literal type to enforce string arguments in method. The highlights of this video look like the following. First, we will tackle the string literal type. Second, we will touch intersection type, followed by the third point, which is union type. The fourth and the fifth point is type guard and user-defined type guard. First topic is string literal type. The role of string literal type is to allow strings, but to restrain the possible values. The type will have all string properties, like substring or length. The value passed will be a string, and anywhere where it will be used, it will be considered as a string, or should I say a subtype of a string, since the type of will remain not a string. So when should you use it? Anywhere you expect the user to pass a string. This is often required when you use TypeScript with JavaScript's library, where enum is not possible. For example, a method that can take a string argument to specify north, east, south, west is a good candidate for string literal type since you can restrict for those four strings value. In our web application, we will use string literal type in the file name game.ts. We will create a new type that will accept start and reset, which will be the two commands that we will allow in a new method called execute command. First, let's create the type above the class. As you can see, this one can only have start and reset as string. Then, let's add a method. This one is going to be execute command. And as you can see, we take as parameter the command type with a list of args. What it's going to do is that we can use it in a switch case, and we will be sure that we will always hit the case start and reset and never the default one. So if we go back in the main.ts file, anywhere where it is the game, when you hit dot, you can see now execute command. This one is taking, as you can see in the IntelliSense, two strings, start or reset. If you're trying to use something else that is not defined, you will get an error saying that the else is not assignable. Last thing, in this example, we use string, but we could have used numbers with the same result. The next topic is intersection. It allows to merge two different types in a new one. Intersection is used mostly when mixin come into play, which we saw in the previous section. To use intersection, let's move back to the game with timer.ts file, where we use the mixin. As you can see, at line 8, type favorite with time is equal to favorite type and favorite with timestamp. This combines two types into a single one. The combination of those two types is forming a single one is called intersection. Union type is another topic on type that is used to allow a parameter to be of more than a single type. It allows to have a cleaner signature with a single type instead of passing a variable with the type any, or passing a two generic type, which would lead to need to have some cast. We can create an example in the log.ts file in the debug method. To do so, let's go in the scripts folder, create a new folder called dev utility, and create log.ts. This class will be an utility class for development, and this class has a method called debug, which has a parameter with a union between animal, vehicle, and object with sound. We will work more on this method soon, but at this point, we can say that it forced the consumer of this method to pass one of these three objects. While other alternatives are possible, like using any or to use a common interface, this one is cleaner. It also let you have strongly typed parameter and give it a better help to developer to know what is intended to be passed. We also saw an example of union when we talk about overload. Let's go back to the game.ts file. In this method called addWord, you can see a union between iWord and object with sound. We can see that the final method contains the union of both of object. Type guard allows to narrow down into a specific type. This is often used with union, but can also be used in many other scenarios. It's easy to identify a type guard because it uses the keyword instance of. TypeGuard use inference to give you a strong type code that change depending of the guard and IntelliSense features. Within each if, we get a narrowed version. Instead of being of many union type, we scope the argument down to the one we know that the variable is. For example, we can access the property number legs for an animal, but not for another kind of object. Finally, there's the user-defined guard. This is a good for reusability and provide a cleaner way instead of using instance of in multiple places in your application. User-defined guard is a runtime verification that will indicate if an instance is of a specific type. The end result is like type guard with instance of. Once again, in this file log.ts in the method debug, we can remove the instance of animal, which is the first statement in the if clause, for a user-defined guard, which is in this case this.animal. This is done by accepting any kind of object, as you can see in the parameter of the as animal. And this one will verify that it's not undefined. The return time is where the guard hacked. In this example, the object is looking against the animal type. If it is true, then the method returns true, which will give the same narrowing capability of the type guard. In this example, which is the same as previously, if I hit dot, I'll still only see the number of legs for the animals. However, if I go for the vehicle and I hit dot, I'll see the number of wheels instead of the number of legs.